Fuck up. We're trying to go live.
We're live.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the weekly Sunday night college football after dark here on the Voice of College Football. This week, we got a bunch of stuff, but please, if you're new here, make sure you go check out all the other team channels, as well as the Big 12, SEC, and Big 10 channels. Because if you like college football content, you're going to find your team or something that you will like. And first off, please, if you can, just hit that like button on this video. It helps share it out in the algorithm on YouTube so more people can find it. But tonight we have a lot to talk about as usual, because another fascinating week of college football is in the books for week 6. But we're going to change it up a little bit tonight. We're going to talk to our guests here quickly and let them tell you where you can find each one of these fine gentlemen on the interweb, as Mark calls it. I think he calls it the interweb still. Starting with Tim.
Well, since we're only at 26 viewers, I'll hit it now. So we have our call-in show on Thursday with Matt and myself. We'll be previewing the Notre Dame game, and we're lucky enough to have Will and D joining us for that, as well as tomorrow, Monday night, we have the Trojan Conquest Live, which I'm sure will have lots of heated discussion about Alex Grinch's struggles on defense continue, as well as maybe some issues with the run game. So you can find us there at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern. And then also after every home game, we have the Trojan post-game show. And on Wednesdays, we have at 7:30, we have the Pac-12 chat show.
Jordan, right on to you, man.
Yeah, you can find me on the Clemson Voice of College Football channel every Thursday night and every after every Clemson game. With me and Tiger Paw Craven, we host a show every single week, the All-In show. So be sure to check that out and get the Clemson fan perspective on everything going on with the program. It's a good time. We like to chop it up with the comment section, and you guys have been really, really awesome. Those of you that have been there. But yeah, that's about it.
Get it over with, Mike.
You can't find me anywhere. Move on to Will.
So you can find me over at Will ND. Me and Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports, we do a weekly show every Monday night at 10:15 Eastern, chopping it up with some college football talk. We talk about the games from the week that just ended, and we also preview the games from next week. You can also find me at the Voice of College Football Notre Dame channel as me and the two Irish brothers, Sean and Ben. We do the post-game show after every game, win or loss. Unfortunately, the last one was a loss as well, but hopefully we'll bounce back. And it's still we also take calls as well, so feel free to call in if you want to discuss the Notre Dame.
Run to you, Jackson, as you're doing your magic in the chat.
Well, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter. And you can most certainly find me on Instagram, where you can see some of my clips from Jacksonian episodes. And you can find some of my instant reaction videos. And I have a Discord of my own. And I'm still just kind of figuring everything out. But everything will get figured out eventually.
Spaz.
On to you now, man.
Yeah, you can find me at the Rocky Classic on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and also just Instagram and also on TikTok. And the Voice of College Football Oregon Ducks channel go live every Tuesday.
That's not just me, right?
Yeah, it's crackling from me.
Okay.
I wanted to know who put the robo effect on, because I was like, that was like perfect. I was like, yeah, you're like sound like
it's like
automated robot
Say that.
underwater fan or something.
Yeah, you may need to exit out, reboot, or something like that fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Spaz will be back. I will cover down for him a little bit.
By the way, can I
Michigan
just
man.
say that? Can I say
Hey, go ahead. Who's trying to talk?
Sorry, I was just gonna say like our show is gonna be on Jeffrey's channel this Monday, but we've been rotating. But yeah, check out Jeffrey's channel. Only Talk Sports on Monday. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So, you can find me. I'm pretty easy to find. In January, in Houston. You'll see me on camera at the national championship game celebrating Michigan. That's where you'll be able to find me.
That brought Tim back.
How about now, Spaz? Try it now.
How about now? Is that better?
Much
There
better.
we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Weird. I don't know what happened. I got a new earpiece, so that might have been it.
Well, just like with Spaz, you will find both he and I on the Tuesday Oregon live shows on the Oregon channel here at Voice of College Football. Then in the post games, especially this weekend coming up following the Washington game, and then you'll find us both here, especially me, every Sunday for the After Dark show, as well as trolling multiple other team channels during, enjoying their pain and sorrow. Hopefully that's not us this next week, but we'll find out.
I was just gonna say.
And then of course Exploring with Ben and Sam here on YouTube. Please go check us out if you like all that stuff and hit us up there.
Also, this Tuesday.
Was that?
I was just gonna say. Also, this Tuesday on a special Husky challenge this week. We are having one of the legends of U of O football, former wide receiver J.J. Burton, who also was one of Joe Montana's favorite targets in Kansas City the last couple of years of his career, will be a special guest on the Oregon Live show this Tuesday at 7 p.m. If you have any questions, message me or Ben or leave them in the chat, and we'll try to get them entered Tuesday with JJ.
Good reminder on that. Spaz. So yeah, check us out Tuesday with JJ Burton. Be fun, especially on Hate Week. But before we look at next week, we had enough thrills this last weekend. I think more than maybe the weekend before that was supposed to be a boring weekend, and this last weekend still had its ultimate surprises. And for me, honestly, I think you could say there was multiple games of the week. But as I lovingly call it, the web wibble wobbly, between those fan bases. Texas Oklahoma didn't disappoint. That was a good game all the way to the end. I don't know if you guys were watching it. I'm sure most people were, at least somewhere. What did you guys think? Because after last year, Oklahoma getting shut out, to this year, full 180 degree turn for that team.
I gotta tell you,
They had Dylan Gabriel for this game, so it's kind of made
That's
a little smoother.
Yeah,
defense, what they've been able to do with that defense in 2 years is pretty damn amazing. They look tough. That defense is a tough out. Offense still suspect in my opinion, but it runs a lot smoother when they're not running in triple option or whatever they were running last time, because they wildcat or whatever they had to run. So they look tough. I don't think they're world beaters, because we all know what happens. I like the live show I just had. All the Sooners are out in force. What a shock! But I just had to quickly remind them, you guys look great every year until you get to the postseason. So we'll see. We'll see with this new defense. Maybe that can change, but their offense is going to need to score better.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of an offensive thing. Texas actually outgained them in yards by about 70, 80 yards. The difference seemed to be the Quinn Ewers turnovers. That's basically what killed them.
Oh yeah, in the first quarter, those are some amazing plays by the Oklahoma defense right there.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like last year, everyone's like, Brent Venables, he's supposed to be the defensive guy, and that defense was awful. This year, all of a sudden, they actually have a pulse, and then the offense, of course, Dylan Gabriel was there. So it's like, now they're actually kind of balanced out compared to last year. So it's still quite a turnaround after taking over a program where almost everyone left.
It's
Well, like
tough to fill. It's tough to fill it really quick like that, especially the front seven positions. You can't do that in 1 year. It usually takes a couple of years, and they clearly look like they answered the bell on that front seven.
Yeah. Well, I will say though, like every year when we see the Red River rivalry, there's always big plays in that game. I mean, that's what makes this game so lovely. The funny thing was that Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, attended that game. So that wasn't too surprised by that, but I do have a question for everybody in this room. Will we see a Texas-Oklahoma rematch in the Big 12 title game?
It looks like it. I mean,
Hope or a funny hat.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like maybe
bet,
Kansas could beat Oklahoma with Jalen Daniels because they were missing him against Texas. That's the one hope that Big 12 fans have right now, I think.
possibly.
Because the other teams look like they can compete with the top two.
I mean, yeah, it's more an indictment on the rest of the league than it is that they're anything super special. You know what I mean? I mean, the rest of the Big 12 is pretty bad. Let's be honest.
That's still a great win, though.
Yeah.
If you're talking about Oklahoma.
Man, that was an amazing touchdown catch by Nick Anderson. But like Jalen Farouk made some big plays in that game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of been the biggest difference for Oklahoma is just, I mean, offensively, I thought they played a really good game. I mean, they ran the ball pretty effectively. They ran for 200 yards. So that's something. They're not a overly explosive, rushing offense, but they were able to get not chunk yardage, but 4 or 5 yards, when they needed it. And against a defensive line like Texas, I mean, that's pretty much all you can ask for. So I thought that was the biggest difference in kind of the offensive success, and obviously the defense making plays. But that's the hallmark of a Brent Venables defense. I mean, trust me, I know. So it was good to see that his kind of philosophy start to take shape, and you saw it in that game.
Like, what was everybody's favorite play from this year's edition of the Red River rivalry?
Man, favorite play?
Yeah.
Nothing comes to mind.
Just that last drive.
I think it's the second pick I think Ewers had where he threw it over the middle. I can't remember if it was the tight end got in at the goal line, but the OU defender clean hit him on the shoulder, popped it up for a pick.
Well, you know what's crazy is
that was an amazing play.
You know what's crazy is Texas doesn't control their own destiny right now.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick a play, it'd be the block kick.
Oh my God, that was amazing! That block punt touchdown by Malik Muhammad.
It's the only thing I can really think of that stuck out.
Yeah, especially considering what had happened at the beginning of that game. The early Ewers pick and the early Oklahoma touchdown and all the special teams blunders that were happening at that point that were going against Texas to go and make a play like that was it kind of changed the momentum of that game and kind of kept them in it because it looked like Oklahoma might be seizing some momentum. And that was just a wild play.
It's happening again, Spaz.
It's happening again, man.
Robo Spaz is back.
Yep.
Yeah.
You sound like you caught it. You sound like you in the Matrix, man.
Whatever that earpiece is, I'd get rid of it.
The Jacques Cousteau thing.
Hey, man, take the red pill, man. Get out of the Matrix.
There you go. That's all it takes.
I do want to point out there was one sequence that was head scratching from Sark at the goal line when they tried to do the jumbo package and got stuffed. That actually might be my favorite sequence of that game. The Oklahoma defense standing up at the goal line when Sark just continued to run with the two big defensive tackles up like playing fullback. And they just couldn't get the tough yardage when they needed it. And that was the Oklahoma defense standing strong. That was, was reminiscent of some past Brent Venables defenses. And you can tell that, the front seven has really been just massively overhauled, from last year, because that was a problem for them. They just did not have the size up front, and they didn't have the playmakers. And you saw some of the young freshmen make plays too, like Peyton Bowen. I know that's a kind of a sore spot for a few people on this panel, but made some huge plays. Some of these seniors, Billy Bowman, shout out to him. Our last name not related, but it was really cool to see him make a play. But yeah, you just saw youth and experienced guys make plays for Oklahoma, and that was the difference.
So is this any better?
Yep.
That is better. That is better now. Well, while we're here, because obviously I think that was a phenomenal game. It was a great way to start the day, plus with the traditional rivalry, looking ahead at the SEC. Will, I'm going to bring back pain for you from last night, because this was the other game. How about those cards? Those Cardinals go. Will, I'll let you have this, because obviously you have the most connection with this of any of us here. Louisville takes down Notre Dame.
I just don't know what the heck Jared Parker's doing, man. Like, why are we rotating offensive linemen now? Like, what the heck are we doing? Like, I don't know. I think that was the main problem, was like we were just moving around the offensive linemen. I know it wasn't working against Duke, but now is not the time to do it. We can do it during a bye week.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
two
don't understand the
games.
selections either.
Yeah, and your receivers get locked up, man. They get locked up.
I can relate.
Well, with this game, the 30-game winning streak against the ACC has snapped. Louisville has ended that streak.
30-game regular season.
Hey, I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised if you don't hear. I want to be surprised if you don't hear that song when Indy's offense is out there. They got me locked up, won't let me out.
Okay.
Well, and also, this is the first time since 2013 that Louisville is 6-0. And here's another fun fact. Louisville has not allowed a single point at any point in the game against any opponent in the first quarter. So, I mean, when you're looking at Georgia Tech, that's expected. Murray State, Indiana, that's expected. Boston College, that's expected. But NC State and Notre Dame, holy cow. That's big right there.
Well, you just named two teams that don't really have dynamic offenses, though. I'm not going to take anything away from Louisville, and I think we're going to need to start having a conversation about them now, because with their schedule, they could easily run the table, which is kind of funny because I don't really consider them an elite team, and I'm guessing I'm not the minority opinion on that. But, I mean, they've got no Florida State. They don't play you, right, Jordan?
Nope.
And I don't think they play North Carolina either. So, I mean, this schedule is just laid out for them. Honestly, probably their toughest game is left. Probably Kentucky.
Well, I'm pulling for Austin, the Fighting Austins. I'm definitely going to be pushing for them. One concern I have for you, Will, is your offensive line. I thought the offensive line might be one of your strengths. They look suspect all night.
2 weeks in a row, really.
I don't think I've ever seen Joe Alt get put on his back like that. That was surprising.
That was ugly.
Yeah,
he literally gets thrown around at times.
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row, really, and it makes you really question Ohio State's front seven. But that's another topic.
I had no hunch that was coming.
I don't know if I mean, in a game where they only allowed 14 points, I don't know if that would be.
Yeah, but they allowed 200 rushing yards though. They got pushed around pretty consistently. But anyways, that's besides the point.
Yeah, as for Louisville, so that was my thing. I was surprised Louisville was able to actually dominate the last scrimmage like that.
I mean, I felt like Plan A worked for the beginning, but he just has had no Plan B, and he's tried a bunch of things, and everything's kind of fall flat on his face. So I don't know. I want Jared Parker to succeed. It seems like the players like him. He seems like a good guy. They interview all the position coaches a lot, especially the coordinators every week. He has to be in the press conference, and he seems like a professional guy. But he just got to get it together, man. I don't want to. I don't like seeing anyone get fired, but if it doesn't improve, I do think we need to get a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and it just kind of it makes you think just back to the offseason when they were trying to hire Andy Ludwig, and I've heard different stuff about how that whole thing went down, but the short and narrow is that Notre Dame they blew it.
Yeah.
The administration blew it, and that's not great. Considering you have an inexperienced head coach, a first-time head coach who had a guy he really wanted, a guy that was experienced, and basically told him no, and now he's like, well, I have to go with a guy that I have a lot of high hopes for in the future, but I'm going to have to elevate him sooner than maybe I thought. And now you're kind of stuck with a guy that's basically learning on the job as far as being a play caller. And I trust me, I know what that's like. So,
and you really got to be kicking yourself in the foot right now, because if you would have won that Ohio State game, even with this loss, you're still in it. I mean, because you still got USC on the schedule, you still got Clemson on the schedule, and I think those games are winnable if you look at USC and Clemson this year.
Yeah, it's just Ron Paulus and Jack Swarbrick just couldn't get it done, and I was extremely angry at the time, and it definitely looks like I was angry for a good reason. But I mean, I'm not. I still have hope that we can win out, but I don't know. It'll be tough. I mean, Tim's defense doesn't exactly look like world beaters, but we got to put points on the board, especially with how good Caleb Williams in that offense is. So definitely have concerns going into that game. There is a path, but it's just going to be tough to see us being able to win like both the USC and Clemson games and not trip up in any other part of the schedule. And anything less than 10 wins is pretty disappointing, especially with bringing in Sam Hartman and all the excitement that brought to the program and the fan base.
Yeah, because I think we all sat here and said that's a huge upgrade for you guys at the quarterback position. But if the O-line can't protect him,
he's not a miracle.
Throw 2 or 3 picks a game like that.
He's not a miracle worker. He's not going to just turn a bad offensive line and just scramble around like Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson and just make things happen. You have to give him a clean pocket, and you have to give him time to throw. And he just didn't have that at times. And receivers weren't making plays for him either. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that the receivers will get better as the years come along. Obviously, Braylon James and KK Smith, they're the 2 raw receivers that have the highest upside. So I'm hoping that Chancey Stuckey can develop them. I don't know. I still have faith in Chancey with how well he's recruiting that the receiver room will turn good. But we have to wait and see, unfortunately. Right now, we haven't seen the fruits of that.
Doesn't Hartman have like 11 turnovers in his last 2 games against Louisville?
It's probably about right. Yeah, I think
probably about 9 to 11 somewhere now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Louisville seems to be kryptonite for Sam Hartman. Well, we'll say Jahar Jordan had an amazing game last night against Notre Dame.
Yeah,
21 carries, 143 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, man. That's big.
I honestly just don't think Notre Dame's offense is that good. I mean, they can beat up on lesser teams physically, but when they go up against, an average to decent defense, they don't have any speed. If you could really load the box, I mean, there's not really much they can do. I just don't think I think they're average to good on offense, not really nothing to brag about on offense. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Mitchell Evans is really good. They continue to put up.
Evans and I want to see more out of Holden State as well.
Well, this brings us into a good point here. I want to make sure we catch this right now since it just popped up. And Willie, you're right here. So, from Mike Luca.
We didn't run him off. He left, Mike. He left.
Well, appreciate it, Mike, for your signature. Why are Notre Dame fans so entitled? Run off a coach average decent 10+ wins a season. despite having won nothing in 30 years. But Rudy, I guess.
How much of this hatred is based on Hartman?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they didn't run him off. He chose to leave.
Yeah, he left.
Not only that, but if Missouri didn't just fall on the sword in the fourth quarter, you're looking at Brian Kelly being 3-3 really at LSU right now. I mean, showing that he's a top. I know he's a top 10 coach in college football, but
Yeah, that defense is almost USC bad. Crazy.
No. Their front seven is okay. It's just LSU's secondary is just terrible.
Well, I mean, USC's got a decent. I think they got a decent
front four.
front.
USC's line is basically leading the country in hurries, in sacks, and tackles for loss.
Yeah,
that's the defensive line.
Timer, Jackson.
Secondary.
Timer.
That means the secondary is maybe historically atrocious.
Right here.
What did that mean? The secondary is historically bad then?
Oh, we're getting to that. Don't worry.
Okay, gotcha.
Historically bad is winning like one national championship in my mom's lifetime. That's like 76 years. So let's chill out down there, okay?
Then I got the 10-minute timer all set.
Also, we did have the Rich Rodriguez years, so don't forget that.
Okay, yeah, let's keep it going. I'm not trying to.
I have a soft spot for Rich Rod.
Let me know when you guys beat us the century, okay, down there? Thank you.
Okay.
Make the playoffs, and you might have a chance. All right, let's keep it going though.
Why are we entitled? I mean, like, never. I mean, we just we've had success in the past, and we're trying to get back, and we just really want to get back to that. We want to get to that Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia level, and with your old pal Sam, we were hoping we could do that this season, but we aren't. We aren't. But hey, the recruiting is great. We got CJ Carr and Deuce Knight and Kenny Minchie in, so hopefully we'll get back to that spot. But I mean, we have more talent than these teams. The other team, Big Three teams, Clemson, USC, and Ohio State, we have more talent than them, so we think that we should win. But unfortunately, the coaches didn't put the players in positions to win, and the players also made dumb mistakes, like Maris's face mask and Chris Tyree's drop. I mean, if those things don't happen, we could be looking at a completely different. We're being in a completely different mood right now with Notre Dame football, even though problems on the offense still persist.
Didn't Blake Fisher get a face mask too? I thought that was crazy.
Blake also had a. Yeah, I guess it was a face mask. I tried to forget about that.
Offensive linemen get face masks, like that's
I guess
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was bad. I guess even holding, at least hold them if you're going to get a penalty. Like face mask was dumb. It was dumb, but I don't know. Hopefully Blake bounces back, and Joe especially. We need them to play well to have.
Well, once again, thank you, Mike, for the super
Thanks, Mike.
And to anyone else. That's how you get us to really highlight your comments and questions. It helps the channel out a lot. I know there's already been. I have like 5 things starred about it. Let's just tear the Band-Aid off and get into the debacle of the weekend. When the mighty Miami Hurricanes, who should have trounced Georgia Tech, decided to play around and found out very quickly. Just can't play around with the other opponent. And you have to question, of course, Mario's consistent questionable play calling and time management skills, or lack thereof.
You're taking too much joy in that. You're taking too much joy in that.
This is a Georgia Tech team that lost to a bad Bowling Green team.
And Georgia Tech had a brand new defensive coordinator, so a different system, and the players are trying to learn that on the fly. So,
well, I mean, look. Bottom line is, it's the worst. In my opinion, it's arguably the worst debacle I've ever seen.
Is it worse than trouble with the snap?
Yes.
It is worse than that. And I'll tell you why. That's pretty bad. But I'll tell you why it's worse. Because it wasn't just one play either. One, it's 3rd and 10. There's 30 seconds left. Georgia Tech has no timeouts. You're in actually field goal range on top of that. They have no timeouts. You could just kneel it and end the game. It's completely in your control. You choose to run the ball, risk a fumble. You do fumble it, and then you let Georgia Tech march 75 yards downfield
2 plays.
and win the game in 2 plays.
Well, in my opinion, if there's a physical issue and a mental issue is always the worst one because there's less excuses for something mental. I mean, a physical, a ball can go some way, it can bounce, something happened. This was just a coaching debacle. I mean, this was simply all you have to do is just take a knee. There's no, ball rolled this way, ball rolled that way. Something happened. The wind picked up, snow. This is just Chris Ball just did something stupid. So that's worse in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the first game I was just thinking about. Like when I saw that mishap from Miami last night, I was thinking about, man, Oregon fan nation is definitely thinking about 2018 Oregon Stanford. 2nd and 3, first down away from clinching game, fumble, Stanford recovers, forced that little game into overtime. I mean, that's gotta hurt. I mean, like
that was KJ Costello era, right?
I believe it was Costello. Yeah.
Good Lord.
That was the David Shaw era.
What a name.
But yeah.
Haven't heard that name in forever.
It's just amazing to me because everyone says, although I've heard all of Miami fans, well, the refs were against us. Well, it's like, well, you should never be in that position. Sorry, you're Miami. That's Georgia Tech. You're supposed to be better. You think you're better. You should never be in that position to allow the refs to make a call to change something. Then
I will say
the runner was down. Okay, well, it was called fumble on the field, so they just didn't overturn it. But then how does your defense blow that? 2 plays, 75 yards, and people are like, well, the quarterback was scrambling, so it sucked up the secondary because he was running. I'm like, they had 5 seconds left. Of course he's Hail Marying it. It's called prevent defense for a reason. Don't blame because the quarterback, I mean, that's just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for Miami in literally about a 50-second swing.
Yeah. I mean, the rule in that situation is nothing cheap, nothing deep, and they let both happen.
I mean, because even if the quarterback ran it, he wasn't. Where was he going to go? He was going to get like 5 yards, go out of bounds. That was it. He wasn't going to run 60 yards down.
Bottom line is, how are you not playing back into the end zone? That's just bottom line. I mean, they got maybe.
You can't get
one
beat
play,
there. Like
2 plays.
I can't believe like he baited him that he was going to go under, and then he bid on that. You can't bite on that. You have to stay.
Yeah, why are you falling for double moves when you know you gotta? Yeah, that doesn't.
Well, Donald, it wasn't just one guy though. If you look at the play, they all are so far from the end zone. Like he went over top of like 3 players.
Yeah, there was 3 of them. One receiver, and the receiver got behind him at like the 20-yard line for the catch. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" I mean, the whole team just like gave up all of a sudden. They were like, well, we're going to lose. It was just mind-blowing.
Tony said it well. Mario Cristobal, great recruiter, horrible coach, horrible play caller.
I can bet you
that sounds like you mad at an ex-girlfriend right there.
Okay, then I'll say it since I have no ties to Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal, great recruiter, terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, so.
Yeah,
you know what would be the best thing that Miami could do? Hire a time management coordinator.
I hear Les Miles is free.
Guys, this is JUCO. Guys, this is JV high school level coaching here. You take a knee. I mean, this is basic. I mean, I don't even know. I'm like baffled that they didn't take a knee.
Well, that's why what we said is, like, I love Mario, respect him. I know why he went to Miami, no problems. Love what he did at Oregon, appreciated all the recruiting. We know that. You can make those type of calls in games where you're winning by 3 or 4 scores, and no one's going to notice. You'll just go, "Oh, that kind of sucked." But in that game situation, when that's the game on the line, just like the Stanford game, you can't make those. Those are the glaring ones, and he does that, unfortunately, a little too often sometimes. And it's like, yeah, that's why we say he's bad at clock management, and sometimes the decision making is just weird. Because what I heard was the running back had just come back, and he wanted to get that guy 100 yards on the ground, and then fumbled. You know, that's a dumb reason if that's what the legitimate reason was, but that's what people are assuming.
Here's a fun fact, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier. As you guys know, Georgia Tech last week lost to Bowling Green. Bowling Green got shut out yesterday by Miami of Ohio, who Miami actually beat earlier in the season. So we've completed the circle of suck. So I thought that was really interesting. It's college football. It's such a normal, sport that makes sense all the time. That's
well, and in all fairness to Georgia Tech too, because after the Bowling Green one, like I said earlier before we started, Georgia Tech fired their DC after that game.
They demoted him. They demoted him.
Well, they promoted someone else, but then to change stuff. So I mean, the kids were then taking orders from someone else, and you see the difference immediately, I think. But also, this is a Cristobal thing: play up and down to your competition. This is also another thing he does. I don't know why, what it is. It's just kind of always been that way.
Well, I mean, I know why Go Blue mentioned Bowling Green because they played us and they were our.
Hey man, don't be saying I got agendas, man. Don't be doing that.
I know why you mentioned Bowling Green though.
I just thought it was an interesting thing to know, man.
I gotta admit, I watched back Coach Coop's reaction to the end of the game, and it was similar. Yeah, and it was similar to. It was the same emotions.
Was that the video of him going, "The F are you doing?"
Probably. I mean, he said that a couple times.
Yeah.
Well,
it was similar to my reaction. It was like my same emotions that I had at the end of the Ohio State game. It was very similar.
Sean Garner asked, would anyone be talking about Cristobal's blunder if the Hurricane defense didn't puke on themselves?
Yeah, because they shouldn't have even been in that position.
Yeah, they shouldn't even. That's the whole point. I mean, if you're up like 3 or 4 scores and this happens, you're kind of like, okay, whatever. But when you're in that situation, it should never happen. Even if the defense had held them and they'd won, people would be going, why would you do? The announcers were screaming in the game, going, what is he doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, Tim Hasselbeck was about to lose his mind.
Well, the announcer actually said, quote for quote, he said, that is one of the worst coaching blunders, if not the worst coaching blunder I have seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's up there. I've never seen a team just completely. Yeah, that was a Miami way to lose. Unbelievable.
Wow. Knowing how Miami could be, they'll probably pull off an upset over North Carolina, or no offense to you, Jordan, they could beat Clemson. And then, like, next thing you know, we see them blowing it against Virginia.
You know what's real crazy? You know what's real crazy is Louisville could win the ACC.
Yeah.
Probably will win.
Someone said this before the year.
Well, again, yeah, Duke, especially with Duke doesn't have Leonard potentially, just, for some reason, so you can't get back or whatever, depending on how their backup is. Yeah, Louisville might be in the driver's seat, depending on, how FSU shakes out the rest of the season. Good job, Jordan. Good job.
Is that a fireable offense?
The loss? I mean,
yeah.
It's a loss that that would get coaches fired if they were, on the hot seat, I guess. I don't think.
What year is he in?
His second year.
He's in his second year.
He's in his second year. Okay.
I think if you can survive getting blown out at home by Middle Tennessee State, this will pass.
Yeah, and the recruit. They're paying him $8 million a year. It's a 10-year contract. Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
If it was his 3rd or 4th year, maybe, but
now with that buyout, unless they got some. Actually, I won't.
They
bring
gotta
that up.
they gotta stop with they gotta learn to do better contracts because you put yourself in a position where you gotta hold on to a guy.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I know how their athletic director works because he was Clemson's athletic director. Well, that's a whole nother. I could do a whole show about that. But
Hey, what's the
regardless.
three-way tiebreaker in the ACC?
Well, under the new format, I mean, I think first things first would be, head-to-head, like combined record against the other two. If that doesn't work, then I think I'd have to go through it. They have a whole list. Because
the Big Ten. Yeah, because the Big Ten has one of the worst. If you get all the way, let's say Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State all beat each other. If you get through all of them, I think it's if you get to 8, guess how they decide the tiebreaker? They pick it out of a hat, pretty much.
There is a similar. I think that's last on the tiebreaker. They have this like rating system that it's not like they don't use like
They don't even do that in the Big Ten. They literally pick it out of a hat.
Oh yeah, they don't do that. The ACC, if their last resort is some advanced metric system that they use, it's not any like another media site or like ESPN or something like that. They don't do that. They have their own algorithm that they use to determine if it's never gone to that. But
well, that's it. That's why I know why he brought this up. But I want to say quickly, thank you, Sean, also. But yeah, no, I think people still talk about it, but not as heavily had they not completely just blown that game at the end. But this is what he was talking about since we're on it. Was, what if the three-way tie between FSU, Louisville, and North Carolina who don't play each other? That's an interesting scenario if you don't play each other. Like,
yeah, that's I'd have to go look. I could probably bring it up real quick, but
I think it's similar to last year with the three-way tie for the Pac-12. Well, the tie between like Utah, Washington, but Utah got in because of their victories. Like their victory over USC helped them get into the Pac-12 title game.
Well, with Oregon losing to Washington last year, but we beat Utah. But then we had the other loss against Oregon State, and that kicked us out. So it was kind of a funky, literally down to the end of the season, game by game decision as to who wins and who loses.
I'm thinking we could be seeing something like that with the ACC.
I just pulled it up. If there's a three-way tie, obviously since they don't play each other, the next determiner would be a win percentage against common opponents. So that's win percentage against common opponents would be the one seed, so to speak, and then I guess the next best would go. Yeah.
Well, then we're going to have to see how that plays out. But Miami has some stuff to figure out to get that team back on focus because they need to after that type of thing. We have most of all the games, but we can kind of cut through some of them really quickly. Let's rip through some of these quickly. We had UCLA over Wazoo in a
that pick six was
struggle
crazy.
fest.
Wazoo offense struggled a lot.
But you know what? Give credit to UCLA's defense. Sorry,
UCLA's defense has been stout all year. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what made Cam Ward, who's looked really comfortable in this offense, it kind of got him off schedule. Had to scramble out a bit and made some uncharacteristically bad throws, but that happens when you face better defenses. And I think that they rung it up. At some point, people are got to start giving these UCLA, which I didn't, but you got to give them their due. Chris downplays it, but I mean, I really think that their front seven gets great pressure, and the shocker is their back end that they're playing really well.
Dante Moore.
Yeah, they don't have to face they don't have to face Washington or Oregon this year neither.
Yeah, their schedule's pretty soft.
Man, that helps playing.
Kind of like Michigan's schedule, they got one team they have to play.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Timer.
I'll let Penn State and Maryland know that you think they're crap.
All right, we're moving on because we spent a long time with Miami, and this is fine. Tim, I'll let you go over it. USC over Arizona. That was one hell of a game. I mean, I will say it was fun to watch, unless you were Central or East Coast when it was 2 a.m. almost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Arizona. 2 weeks in a row, Arizona's come in at home. They played Washington to the wire, basically, and USC, and they held Penix without a touchdown. They held Caleb to barely in regulation about 200 yards passing. So they got to be doing something right. I mean, guys have bad days, but hats off to what they're doing down there in Tucson. Jed Fish is always great with offense. You got toys like Cowing, who's going to be one of those 4,000 reception guys, which is very rare in college football. But he's just going crazy as far as his reception yardage. He's just a playmaker. Cowing torched USC for about 10 catches. Obviously, USC has been suspect on defense going back to last year. Thought that they had made some strides. They look great at flashes, then they go flat. USC started poorly in the beginning with their even Caleb's play. And the running was really inconsistent in this game, and they got themselves a 17-point hole. But as much maligned the defense is, that defense held Arizona to 11 points in the second half and allowed USC to crawl back into this game. And quite frankly, as if for this most typical thing going on this season with USC, they get the ball down to like the 3-yard line, and just a crazy series of plays that happened, ending in a missed field goal where there wasn't even a kick. It was a high snap, and the kicker didn't get it down, and it goes to overtime. So it goes to triple overtime. And the funny thing is Caleb, I don't know if you guys saw this, but one of the weirdest plays ever, just bizarrely, if you don't watch the game, watch this play on the final touchdown by Caleb, just shows why he's probably going to repeat as a Heisman Trophy winner, because he put his team on his back in the overtime, and that play he made was just insane. And so they got a lot of work to do. If they play defense like they have the last 3 weeks, I wouldn't be shocked if they lose like 2 out of the next 4 games they're playing.
I saw a lot of 2021 USC because that when they got up to 17-0, they could have easily quit. But wasn't it a pick six that kind of spurred them back into it?
It wasn't a pick six. It was interception.
It was I couldn't remember if he ran it back, but I mean, that's the one kind of saving grace the defense had last year. They took the ball away a lot.
No, I mean, this defense is doing it a lot more traditionally. They're getting 3 now. So again, the beginning of the game, they did bend and break. They got all the way down inside the red zone. They held them to a field goal, but then successive drives, touchdown. But then the interception you talked about, and after the interception, that was punt. So interception, punt, halftime, field goal, punt, touchdown, missed field goal. And it was about 50-yard plus on the field goal. So the defense held up 11 points in the second half, which allowed USC in the second half to go roughly. So at the very, very end of the game, so after the last drive of the second half, touchdown, punt, field goal down the stretch to get back in the game and to take the lead on a missed field goal at the end, though, that should have been a game winner. Game should have been 31-28 in regulation.
If I'm being honest, the refs completely bailed USC out in that game.
Incorrect. You're being honest? Really?
Yeah, if I'm being look, they enter.
You missed the holding calls.
That time already, Jackson.
Hey man, I watched the end of that. I watched that fourth quarter, and I swear there was like 15 calls going.
Were you wearing your
USC's
maize and
way.
blue? Were you
even that roughing the passer late in the fourth? That wasn't roughing the passer.
Oh Lord,
that was
God,
not roughing
really?
the passer.
He's lucky that was a
no. It was a clean hit. It was a clean hit.
All right.
Even the announcers claimed it was a clean hit.
Huh?
It was a normal hit.
The
Like
announcers claimed it was a clean hit. And Brock Osweiler was all up to it.
If Osweiler says it was a clean hit, it must have been a clean hit.
It was a clean hit, man. That was a soft call.
It was right on the
That was a
shoulder.
soft call. That was some home cooking.
Yeah. Okay, we heard you. If you hit a quarterback high, not just hit him, high and late, that's going to get flagged, period.
It wasn't even late, though. He literally got rid of the ball and hit me.
Tim. The one we're talking about.
Yeah.
God, okay, all right then. Anyway, so we won the game 6-0, and things got to get tightened up on defense. And by the way, just so weird that the refs are helping USC out, but if you watch the last couple of drives, especially in overtime, getting a holding call, yeah, those refs were really in our pockets, giving us holding calls, making it 1st and 20 in overtime. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we paid them well.
Well, at some point you got to make it. At some point you got to, kind of throw one here and there to make it not look as bad. So I mean, I get it.
The penalties were very even on the game. So let's
look at on the game as a whole, maybe on the game as a whole, maybe. But when the game mattered in the fourth quarter, look at the penalties in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah, three holding calls. Hold on, dude. 3 holding calls against USC. Does that sound one-sided to you?
Roughing the passer.
Didn't USC get they got 2 personal fouls on SC as well? I don't know what you're talking about.
I gotta look at the penalty numbers. I'm watching the game.
I'll show them to you right now because you're way off base per usual. Unless it's maize and blue, you get everything wrong. We'll look at it right here when you have the penalty yardage where it's USC. Where are you? So USC 8 for 72, and you have Arizona 12 for 96. So 96 to 72 difference. That's not.
And like 9 of those for Arizona came in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah, that's incorrect. What are you talking about?
Oh, most of the penalties came in the fourth quarter and
overtime. You
literally
make this stuff as you go. There were 4.
We can look it up, man.
There were 4 penalties in the fourth quarter. 4.
Timer's up.
4 or 9.
Spazzing out over there.
All right, that is your therapy session for the week.
Michigan to shut this guy up. It just gets sick every. Unfortunately, nobody worth their salt is playing Michigan this year until they get to the Buckeyes. So this guy's going to keep.
Well, I mean, we play Penn State.
Play TCU and get smoked again, or some other team in the playoffs. So.
Hey man, we on a different level than you.
I know. Like last year,
just stay on USC, man.
Last year, they were the best team since '97 until they lost to TCU. You told us again, this is the best team since '97.
Best Michigan team since '97. Not the best team, period, since '97.
Getting pissy. Getting pissy, Jeff. It's a beautiful word there, Jeff.
Oh, Jesus.
And you got any more trolls in the thing you want to pop up there, Benny?
There's another one.
Oh, my God.
Well, again, idiot. What can you do? You got idiots in your crowd, Ben. What can I do?
Hey, you're coming to us next year.
Oh, shit.
I'm staying fully neutral. We were on a bye week, so I was
one natty in 76 years.
Welcome to the
one natty in 76 years, and this guy's running his mouth.
Can I say one thing about SC?
Hey, look, man. Hold on. Let me real quick, man. I can run my mouth right now. We are clearly the second best team in the country. So if you want to talk about history, that's fine. But
wait, second best? Wait, did you say? Wait, hold on. I'm sitting down. Did you say that?
I'm gonna give Georgia. Hey, look, I'm gonna give Georgia their credit. Georgia's back-to-back champs. I'm putting them number one just based off merit.
I think you're.
But I mean, it's Georgia, Michigan, and big gap. Period. So I'm gonna talk my stuff, man. We look the part. USC does not. Point blank.
Well done kicking the crap out of shit teams, man. Wait till you play some.
You look bad versus bad teams. So what are you saying?
Look bad? Okay.
Is Arizona a good team?
Arizona is better than most of the teams you play.
Is Arizona State a good team?
Are you done? So panel, where would you place Arizona as a team? By the way, Arizona, we all think that Washington's a good team, right? They ran Washington to a
Arizona's not even the worst team you've played either. Arizona State, who you also struggled against, is also terrible.
Right. Okay. Hey, funny guy, who's the best team you beat this year?
I would say probably Rutgers.
Probably Rutgers. Can you just shut up then? Because it's embarrassing.
Hold on. I'm really not though, because you're saying we're playing garbage, but we're doing what a number 2 team is supposed to do versus garbage. You're struggling going to overtime versus a 3-win team. You're giving up almost 40 points or 28 points to ASU, who's in disarray. So you can talk about a bad schedule, but at least look the part versus a bad schedule. You look terrible. So what are you saying?
So again, Arizona's mid. What is Rutgers? Is Rutgers mid?
Okay, you're arguing which team is worse. How have they looked against said bad teams? That's the point here. You've looked mid against bad teams. We've looked the part. We're doing what a number 2 team is supposed to do versus a bad team. Okay. Yes or no, Tim?
Yeah, I know. This guy's boring as hell, and I got to deal with him every week.
Okay, and And I will give Washington a pass because that game was in Tucson, and you guys all know the fact that when you go down the desert, it's a whole.
You don't roll to Tucson without, yeah.
You guys have
to roll to Tucson.
Washington was going to their bye week. I think they were just trying to get to the bye week, get through that crap. You know, I give Washington
nothing about Pac-12 after dark because he's never been there. He has no clue. So let's just move on.
Yeah, we've already hit the timer like probably 4 times over by now. So
I was just like, keep going.
Let's move on.
Can I say my one USC?
Oh yeah, go
Will,
ahead.
why don't you get in here? Go ahead, Will. Maybe he'll let you talk.
I just don't get it why you guys don't have a special teams coordinator, man. I don't understand it.
I don't understand either. I don't understand why
just really clearly, Will. So does it mean that if we had a special teams coordinator that the long snapper won't have an errant snap once in a while?
Happens to everybody.
What's the concern on special teams? Are you talking about the end of the game there when they missed a field goal?
I mean, yeah. I mean, also that, but like also like, I mean, like the punting was sketchy. I mean, I haven't watched like every SC game.
Punting?
It was sketchy last year.
Oh no, but this year, the punting is excellent this year. Will.
Well, I don't know, just in general though. Like you guys had like 2 linebackers coaches, right?
Yep, inside outside.
I don't get why you would do why would you need like 2 different linebacker coaches? Like for me,
I don't know. Hey,
special teams coordinator just to make sure that everything's spot on.
A quick side note: USC has a worse strength of record than Michigan's. But carry on.
I will say this, Tim. Last week,
how much? I mean,
it's worse. That's the point.
Listen, your schedule is bad.
Who have you played through 5 weeks, Sam? Who have you played through 5 weeks? San Jose State, Stanford, Arizona State, Arizona, and Colorado. And
That's better than
you're over here like, come on, man. It's actually a worse strength of record. Michigan actually has a higher. Now they're both bad. My point is they're both terrible schedules. I'm not sure you really and you're over here acting like you haven't played a terrible schedule.
Here's the difference. I'm not walking around like we're winning the Natty like you are after playing nobody.
Because we actually look the part. You don't. Bottom line.
You sure as hell looked the part last year, didn't you?
Well, yeah, we did. We were in the playoffs. We actually made it to the dance.
Case in point.
I wanted to say
you got exited by TCU, dude. So
okay, but we made the dance.
All right, let's move on for a second.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Spence.
No, I just wanted to say, Tim made a point last week, I believe it was, on your guys' post-game show, and I can't remember the guy's name, but you made it a point about this guy needs to play more. And last night, I believe he had an interception, a forced fumble, and several tackles. The kid that caught that one interception.
The kid for SC, they call it interception?
Yeah.
See, the thing is he's a transfer, right? He's one of the guys that transferred down from he came from Washington and Jacoby Covington. What you guys also don't realize is USC didn't start, so their Damani Jackson, their starting corner, didn't suit up at all. He got hurt. Covington got hurt in the third quarter, and we lost Christian Roland-Wallace, our other starting cornerback, at the end of the first quarter. So basically, we were playing with our fourth and fifth string cornerbacks that entire game against guys that are going to be in the NFL and Cowing and McMillan. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'll tell you what, I would put USC up against anybody in the country as long as Caleb Williams on offense is clicking. And if you want to lie to yourself and say USC has a chance to win a game, you're lying to yourself. You can talk about how great your team is, but maybe they're not going to win them all. Maybe they won't even make the playoffs. But I'll bet you USC is a team that your coaches do not want to face anywhere down the line in your schedule because they are capable of beating anybody.
Oh, no, we love to play.
So nervous.
We would love it.
Well, we play them next year, so move on.
Yeah, let's hit the super chat, please.
Anyway,
from Lemansky, the Hawkeyes are ready to bloody USC and beat Harbaugh in 2024. And that's without an offense. Like the show, take me to the green solid or dump truck.
Well, there you go. Lemansky's trying to have
Lemansky.
the USC and Michigan guys make up by their obvious, laughing at this comment. So, he's a peacemaker. Thanks, Lemansky.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. And like we say, every super chat we appreciate it, but it helps us highlight your comments. And we love having the Hawkeye support, of course, especially for Tim and me and Spaz, who are going to have to start playing the Michigans and the Hawkeyes and stuff like that. So, I mean, next year. So we're looking forward to it. I don't remember if we play Iowa next year. I don't think so. But I'd have to look at the schedules. Thank you, Lomansky. Appreciate it. Plus, it was a good way to get out of that little tussle we were having there.
So I noticed that our next game on our list is Kansas Central Florida. Is Kansas the third best team in the Big 12 officially?
I think they're the only team that has the chance of getting in the title game besides Oklahoma and Texas right now. So I would say for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, third best.
I wouldn't put that.
And a little bit after Gus Malzahn in Central Florida blew the 28-point lead against Baylor, this happened. This was before Central Florida played Kansas this Saturday. What I'm showing here is the contract extension of Gus Malzahn and Central Florida, where they agreed to a contract extension through the 2027 season. Malzahn agreed to terms early this summer, and the school raised his salary to $4 million per year on July 1st. Sources told ESPN the deal rises to $5.5 million annually in 2026, 2027, and the deal gives both additional salary and one extra deal to push it through 2027. Now, does everybody in this room think that Central Florida overreacted, or what's on Central Florida's mind exactly?
They want consistency, I think. I mean, they're moving to the Big 12. It's going to be a jump up in competition. They've got to give time. So keep the same coach. He's done okay. And I don't think it's overreacting.
Yeah,
but giving up 400 yards rushing ain't it?
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I mean, I gotta say, I mean, blowing it against Baylor and getting smacked by Kansas is not consistency. I mean, that's far from going unbeaten in 2017 and 2018. That is not good.
Yeah, well, this is the Gus Malzahn experience, nothing really surprises me with him, if we're being honest. So
true. I mean, he always did this at Auburn, where he always won that one game he shouldn't, and he lost that one game he shouldn't. I would not be surprised if they're doing that again this year at Central Florida. That's not good. But I will say, great game for the Kansas Jayhawks.
They're going to realize why Malzahn went from national championship to being fired in 2 years?
7 years.
Oh, that long? It seemed like overnight. I know that Malzahn really fell off.
That was Chiswick.
Oh, Chiswick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was Chiswick.
Yep. But
well, and that's it. I think Kansas is probably the third best. I think that's a solid bet because, I mean, it's not even on our list. Well, it is on our list. I mean, Kansas State lost to Oklahoma State, and we said Oklahoma State gave up on the season last week, and then all of a sudden, Kansas State can't beat Oklahoma State. So I don't know what to think of those teams.
Gundy might be fighting for his job.
Yeah. It's Mike Gundy. I mean, they looked better on Friday night, so I'll give them that. The offense is starting to click a little bit.
True.
I don't know if this is a one game thing. It was maybe this was just a spot for Oklahoma State. They were at home, kind of backs against the wall. Gundy is getting a lot of criticism for how he's handled the offense and how he's handled the transfer portal, letting all those guys leave last year. He seems set in his ways about how he wants to run the program, and I don't know if it's for the best, but that was a good a big win for them, and a win they probably needed to have if they want to be considered a bowl eligible possible team.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest about Oklahoma State. I've noticed, and this is something I've looked at through the past couple weeks, they are divided on Mike Gundy. I mean, there's one half like, oh, well, we got the legend of Mike Gundy, the legend. And Cody Stable, host of Locked On Oklahoma State and friends, were on Twitter Spaces saying, hey, we got to look towards the future. Yeah. We can't just be sitting there thinking about how great the good old days of 2011 were. We got to think about right now and the future, because Texas and Oklahoma are going to be gone. We got to take advantage.
That's how all the Big 12 teams should be. All of them should be, because they're like, hey, they're gone. We can take control of this. I thought that was going to be Kansas State, but they haven't been impressive this year compared to last year.
No.
Oh man.
I saw someone say that it sounds similar. It sounds similar to Dabo in his approach. I would think in ways, yeah, but honestly, I think Mike Gundy's approach is a little bit more extreme, because he's like, I don't care who leaves, and I'm not really going to bring anybody, decent at all. I think it's Dabo to the utmost extreme that you could possibly be. Like he's not retaining talent, and he's not recruiting particularly well. And I think that's the big separator too. So you're not replacing the talent. You're not at least replacing the talent you're losing with talented kids out of high school. You're kind of, I think Oklahoma State's recruiting class is like bottom 3 in the conference right now. And I think last year's wasn't very good either. So that's kind of the big separator. I mean, you can kind of eschew the portal in some ways if you're recruiting at a high level, but they're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, even though Oklahoma State had a pretty good victory over Kansas State, almost blew it there for a moment. The only reason why they didn't lose was because Kansas State was making a messed up play call. Instead of going for an extra point, they went for a 2-point conversion. Bad move by the K-State Wildcats. But let's see what Oklahoma State can do against Kansas next Saturday.
I don't see it. I honestly think the only reason that Kansas wasn't competitive in the Texas game because they didn't have Jalen Daniels. He's pretty much their whole offense right now.
I mean, they look pretty good with Jason Bean.
That's for sure.
They only got 14 points against Texas. 14, 17 points. They did not. Their offense did not look good.
That's a big step up, but just
well,
as far as you're playing.
Yeah, it's like Mark said, Gundy is not bringing in top 10 classes.
Yeah,
so
that's a big difference.
Well, since we got you here, because you're the SEC guy, Jackson, we got to keep rolling too. Darrell, cover your ears for a second. As Georgia absolutely dismantles the Kentucky Wildcats. I don't know if that's shocking or not, but Jackson, your opinion, as you're the SEC guy here. So,
oh man, I gotta tell you though, I did not see Kentucky having a shot against Georgia. I mean, they haven't beaten Georgia since 2009, and they're not going to either. I mean, do you know the last time they beat Georgia? We didn't even have Instagram or TikTok then.
Yeah,
I've never had Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah. But it was a great game for Carson Beck as he had 28 of 35 completed passes, 389 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns. And, of course, Brock Bowers had another great game with 7 receptions, 132 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Brock Bowers was great.
Yeah, Brock Bowers is really good. Georgia had their best game of the year. I think the defense played really well. They shut down Kentucky's run game. Really could do nothing. Devin Leary was pretty ineffective. Ray Davis was effectively shut down, and it was just not a good day for Kentucky offensively. And Georgia had their best offensive performance of the year, I think. So
I thought Georgia did something very smart. They kind of just let Carson Beck let it loose in this game. Bottom line, and I know Kentucky's secondary is probably their weak point, which it was smart to do. But I think they have to do that because Georgia's run game kind of isn't where you want it to be, and I think you have to lean more towards a heavier passing attack. And Carson Beck has the arm to do that. So
they're finally using Carson Beck's skill sets. That's what he is. He's got a pretty strong arm, and let him throw down the field, and especially when you have as you mentioned, the questions at running back, really just a lack of depth and some injuries there. You got to do what you got to do, even if that's not how Georgia typically likes to play it.
Sorry there, I got to step away for a second. I was going to say, Jackson, let's talk about Alabama over to A&M, because that was a close game. It was an entertaining game. The whole thing. It was actually a pretty good game.
Oh yeah, but we got lucky against A&M though. I mean, we would have had a 33-17 victory had we not been killing ourselves with these penalties. I mean, it cost us a touchdown right there with that blocked field goal touchdown. I mean, good grief. I mean, it would have been amazing, but what really saved us was that safety we put on Matt Johnson. That was amazing right there.
I got a question for you, Jackson. How does a quarterback throw a ball 40 yards downfield, hit the guy in the hands? When he tries to make a 10-yard pass, he hits him in the feet.
No clue, man.
I don't get Milroe. He has, for all the crap he gets, he has a sweet deep pass. I just don't understand it. But I mean, if you ask him to take a 10-yard out route, he'll miss him by 5 yards. I don't get it.
Not only that, but his reads on his mid to short range passes are terrible. It's costing him the games.
Yeah. But, Jermaine Burton, he made some great plays. 197 yards, 9 receptions, and 2 touchdowns.
He's a Blitnikoff finalist this year.
Oh, yeah. Burton's amazing, man. Somebody's going to be lucky to get him in the NFL draft. But do not be surprised if Bama loses that one game they shouldn't. Now, whether that be against like Tennessee or LSU or Auburn, if they lose one of those games, it will be because of these penalties.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Hey, but I mean, credit to Bama though, because that was a spot that a lot of people were like, they were in a vulnerable position. A&M, had been playing well the past couple of weeks. Even obviously Connor Wegman going down kind of dampened that a little bit, but still, like a lot of people were like, well, it's at Kyle Field. That could be a spot where Bama really struggles because that defense is still really good. But they got it done. And they didn't run the ball like traditionally very effectively, but Jalen Milroe made some plays. So that's a good sign going forward.
That's a good point about Jalen Milroe making those plays. He had 21 of 33 completed passes, 321 passing yards, 3 touchdowns all throughout the game. But I do have a question for everybody on this panel. What is the take on Jimbo Fisher as he and the Texas A&M Aggies head into Knoxville next Saturday on CBS? Like, is he back on? Yeah, it'll be fun for sure.
Were you asking, is he back on the hot seat? Or
yeah, I mean, is everybody thinking that A&M's going to try to pony up the dough, or are we waiting through the rest of the year?
I think it's too early to be throwing them out the door. I mean, the massive buyout aside, I mean, they are 4-2.
Yeah.
So it's not like this last year where they were going sub 500 with all this amazing talent.
Yeah,
I'd like to play out.
Plus, he has the quarterback excuse now. I mean, his starting quarterback is out, so like he can say, well, if the season doesn't go, great the rest of the way, it's like, well, I mean, the guy that I put my trust in, I don't have anymore, and I didn't have for most of our games. So and like you said, the buyout is probably a big thing too.
Well,
think
didn't
he
Max
did.
Johnson have a lot of starts already?
I mean, Max Johnson has played a lot of football, but he's not. I don't think he's the same kind of talent that Connor Wegman is. I saw somebody say that. I don't remember where it was, but it might have been in some live chat. But they said that Max Johnson throws the football like it physically hurts him, and now I can't unsee it.
I mean, didn't they bench Haynes King last year for Max Johnson?
Yeah, they did. They did. But that Haynes King also throws the football like it physically hurts him. So I don't.
You got to take a shot at a
Jimbo has a type.
quarterback.
He certainly has a type. Well, yeah. I want to touch this real fast because actually I had no idea. I did not hear any news today. No one told us. So everyone here, Kenny, yeah, please remember Dale Wolfley, the Dale Wolfley family, and thoughts and prayers. He did the Wolfman's call for West Virginia. He said he passed away last night. That's, yeesh, I did not know that, to be honest. I had not heard anything. So
that's very sad.
Definitely be keeping his family in our thoughts because, yeah, he was doing some great stuff over there on the Wolfman's call. That hurts.
Yeah, absolute prayers and thoughts to his family. It's just tragic news.
Agree.
Yeah, Wolfman's call. He was doing a good show over there for West Virginia. He had a lot of guests on. He was doing some good work over there. So that sucks. It's not the news we wanted to hear tonight. But definitely everyone here, yeah. Think of his family. So thank you, though, Kenny, for bringing that to our attention. Because, yeah, I had not heard that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. So we're aware of that.
Jackson posted earlier.
I didn't see it. So that's why I said it.
If you pay attention to the Discord, you saw it.
I was getting drowned out by the Dick Bunkus talk last year or yesterday.
Yeah. Again, keep his family, Dale Wolfley's family in your thoughts and prayers, everyone. Definitely for the Wolfman call. Again, thank you, Kenny, though, for bringing that up and making it up so everyone here in the chat knows. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we did lose one of the greatest linebackers of all time yesterday also, Dick Butkus.
Yeah, Mike just mentioned that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That was another one. It's like, oof. All right. I know, I think Tim's trying to maybe get out. Let's skip. We're going to rotate a couple of things in our talking points. We've covered a lot of the games. We spent a lot of time on that. Let's take a brief look into next week because we have multiple games. We know what is coming up for several teams and some others. But Tim, I know you've been on for quite a while with your show, and then this one. And USC next week has the annual rivalry game with Notre Dame, which I don't want to say it's lost a little luster maybe with Notre Dame, dropping a couple of games, but it's still a rivalry game. You're on the road. Anything can happen in rivalry games. Anything.
Yeah, anything in South Bend, that's for sure. It should be a good game.
That was it.
You guys will be fine.
I mean,
Notre
yeah.
Dame can't score over 21 points.
Yeah, USC should win that game.
Their defense, their offensive line and their running game worried me paired with Sam Hartman. But as we've seen, Alt's been a bit shaky. That line's been shaky. So I don't know. I mean, but the issue is it's in South Bend. USC hasn't played well on the road. Depends on which USC team shows up. If both teams play to potential, USC wins that game. Period. But when you go to South Bend, you better bring your A game because they will beat you. And so if the team we've seen the last 3 weeks shows up, USC loses probably big. But if they show up and they play that, they should. I think they should win it. Like I said, I give USC the nod in any game they play anybody with Caleb Williams. That guy's watch overtime. Watch what Caleb did in overtime if you want to know.
Well,
I'll say this. I think I think Notre Dame's defense is easy to defend, so I wouldn't be shocked at all. Even with
Their
USC's
defense is easy
defense.
to defend.
No. Indy's offense, Notre Dame's offense
Okay.
is easy to
Just
defend.
making sure.
They don't have a lot of speed. You can zero in on the run game. Sam Hartman's more of a game manager, especially in his offense. And the offensive line going against well, I think is a decent front in USC could be a good matchup. So all we've said about USC's defense, even though I don't think it's very good, I think it's possibly a good matchup for them because, like I said, Notre Dame doesn't have a lot of speed. You can zero in on some things.
You have to throw the kitchen sink at Estime. He's really the only chance they've had of kind of.
Even then, they haven't really been running it that well the past couple of weeks. So,
well, that's why, because Duke and Louisville sold out to stop Estime. That's pretty much the reason they were in that. Both of them were in that game. So,
well, and again, they're going to be going up against a play caller in Gerard Parker, who's a first-time coach that was elevated as from the tight ends position. We're talking about the crap teams USC's been playing, but look at the offensive coordinators. They went up against Dillingham and Jed Fish in back-to-back weeks. People are cracking on us for those are two really good signal callers. Period, bar none. You're not going to find many better. And quite frankly, Sean Lewis, what he's done at Colorado on an undermanned team. They should not have gotten there. That true freshman should not have received like 196 yards in like one half. That was terrible. But at the same time, Sean Lewis is doing a good job with those receivers, and Shedeur Sanders is a reason why he's leading. I don't know if he's anymore, but up to last year, he was leading the country in passing in total yards. So, I mean, these aren't. I'm sorry, they're not Big Ten offenses that USC is going up against every week. They're going up against some pretty dynamic offenses, great signal callers, and excellent skill positions. And you could argue that and get all angry and tell me I'm in my feels, but those are just some facts that you got to get past if you want to start cracking on silly comments.
Well, I mean, I would also say Colorado's offense is well. Hold on, but I mean, Colorado State had their way with Colorado's offense, so I don't think that's too much of a.
Was that game one? Was that game one of a brand new system?
No. That was like game 3. No, that was the third game of the year. That was before they played Oregon. It was a game before they played Oregon, I believe.
So that was
They scored like 14.
Yeah, they opened
the 14 points in the fourth quarter.
It was TCU, then Nebraska, then Colorado State.
Yeah, and they struggle. I don't think having a good defense versus Colorado is really that much to.
So let me say this again, just so we're all clear and the class is clear here. I'm not saying USC's defense has played well, so let's be clear on that. But what I am saying is the offenses that USC has played have been dynamic offenses with great signal callers. Does anyone want to debate that with me? I'm right here if you want to do it.
Not yet. I don't think you've played a good offense yet. No.
I don't.
I just said good signal callers, right? With dynamic.
Well, you could say good signal callers, but the offenses are not good. I mean, you could have the best signal caller, but if the product on the field isn't
okay. We're talking USC and Notre Dame here. Let's keep on track here. This is getting off the walls again. USC Notre Dame. It's an annual game. It's always generally pretty good, unless one team's having a really. But I think Notre Dame is going to come out and try to give everything they got because now they're in fight mode.
Yeah, but I also think USC's front seven is going to pretty much manhandle Notre Dame's line right now, regardless of what they've gone through up to this point. Their front seven's no joke.
Yeah, I agree. Well, here's the thing. I still think that Notre Dame's offensive line is capable. They did not play well. They have not played well the last couple of weeks, but they're a lot better than what they showed. I would not surprise me if they had especially having back-to-back weeks of poor performances. A bounce-back performance from that group would not surprise me at all, because they are really talented on that line. So I don't know.
It is a hard game to call.
Which one shows up? Yeah, I really don't know how to feel about this game this far out. I do want to see how Notre Dame's receivers are, what the health status of some of those guys are, because I know that Jaden Thomas hasn't been healthy, and some of the other guys. So I don't know. I'd probably have to make a call on that, closer to the actual game day. But I could see this game going either way. And Caleb Williams is obviously the big wild card, big X factor in this game, because he can, he can be a difference maker by himself. So that's really, it's going to be a tough game to call.
Oh, Caleb's going to get his pound of flesh. I'm just tempted to think that Louisville was kind of a one-off for Notre Dame, at least on their offensive line.
I don't think so. I think they've done this 3 weeks. Well, I guess Ohio State, they had more success, but I mean, they've done this for multiple weeks in a row. If they do it again this week, then we just got to say that they are what they are. Because if they look like this against that defense, then it is what it is.
You know why that's true is because defenses and offenses cannot get better as the season goes by, right?
They can also get worse.
I love
they could also get worse.
Flying out of this place. It's amazing. It's like I've never heard football before.
Well, look, Tim. Teams can also be what they are. If you're 6-7 weeks in the season, yeah, I guess they could theoretically get better. But some teams just are what they are. There is this thing called a ceiling, and they can only get so high. So
I've truly reached a point where I just don't even want to argue with you anymore. So yeah, sure. Ben, next topic.
So I was like, I don't want to argue about this. It's going to be a good game because it's a rivalry game, annual tradition. I'm looking forward to it, so that's why I'm very happy that I don't want to say the game of the week maybe, but Oregon at Washington. Oh my God, the Duck guy is talking about Oregon. This might be one of the first times on this show that I talk about Oregon. I'm glad that game is not at the same time as Notre Dame, USC, because now I get to enjoy both of them. But Oregon at Washington, I don't know about this game. I'm nervous.
Time to find out if this is real, huh?
Wait, where's the game at?
Seattle.
It's at Washington. Yeah.
This is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing about this game. It's on game day. It's on national, and Washington's record is 1-6 in these kind of games. Oregon's is 13-11 or 17-11. Excuse me.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is a different Washington team. And
that means Washington too. Washington by 50. Let's go. No, I'm kidding.
Washington can't run the ball. Washington can't run the ball with any regularity. They're fairly one-dimensional.
But both teams their defenses have improved compared to last year. They're still at least better. So that's also a help to Washington. And then at home, it's a rivalry game, just like with USC Notre Dame. Weird things can happen, just like last year's shootout.
Top 10 defense versus a top 70 defense. Kind of like our chances with Washington being very dimensional.
Are you talking about rankings in the conference?
No. Oregon's the 8th ranked national defense.
No, Spaz, hold on. Do you believe, right? Do you believe that you guys have the number 8 defense in the country? Is that what you're trying to say?
I believe our defense is way, way better than it was the last couple of years.
Agreed.
Yeah,
100. But my question to you is whatever statistic you're quoting, would you say that you guys are probably the 8th best defense in the country?
Right now? Probably, yeah.
And who would you say is your best win of the year?
Best win of the year would probably be the beatdown with Colorado, because everybody expected that to be a shootout, and our defense put up 6 points in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, you guys shut down Shedeur. That guy was shell-shocked. I'll give you that one. But again, I mean, statistics can fool you. That's all I'm going to say. Remember, things are never as bad or as good as they look.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Or they're actually really bad.
because what I will
at-
say is, it'll be hard once you start playing like USC and Washington and possibly even UCLA. You're going to see that ranking go way down because Colorado has a dynamic offense, but other than that, you guys have really played. I mean, you play teams like Portland State and some teams that probably are going to struggle on offense. But I think you guys do have one of the better. I think you do have one of the better defenses in the conference. But I'm not ready to put you guys in the top 25 when it comes to defenses in the country.
I mean, they've given. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But they've given up more than 10 points one time, I believe, which was Texas Tech and
Texas Tech 26. Yep.
No, I think it was 30.
I'll be honest. I didn't think they were the best. I didn't think they had the best defense in their own state until last night.
And
Oregon
State lost too many.
I'm looking at the rankings on Oregon's defense. Oregon sits in total yards allowed per game, 5th in passing yards allowed per game, tied for 5th in points allowed per game, and they are 20th in points in rushing yards allowed per game.
Those are all great numbers. But what I'm trying to tell you, and I think that the Duck fans should be able to say this with, just to be objective, is what offenses have they played? What were the offenses ranked that they've played? That factors in this as well. I hear all the time about these defenses.
Colorado was the number 2 offense.
And by the way, before you remind me, my defense sucks, but it has nothing to do with the fact what we're talking about. So you got to be very careful about anointing teams. Look out for this defense when they really haven't played.
Hey, I get what you're saying, right? But when we talk about when you're playing mediocre offenses, the main thing you take away from that is if you look bad. If they've done what they're supposed to do against those teams, there's a good baseline for that defense. If they're looking bad against offenses they shouldn't look bad against, then you got some worries there. Also, with Washington, they kind of had a similar thing when it comes to Michigan, right? Before the Arizona game, it's hard to judge these numbers, some of these defensive numbers, when you're taking your starters out 2.5 quarters into a game. Because when your backups are playing almost a quarter and a half, that's going to affect some of those defensive numbers. So I don't think their defense is quite as bad as maybe the numbers say, because those first 4 or 5 games, I mean, they were up like 40-10 in a lot of those halves. So you got to keep that in mind as well.
So refresher for the peanut gallery. I just said that while I don't think that they are a top 25 defense, I think they're a solid defense. They've made huge strides, but I would be shocked to see them in the top 25 after playing teams like USC and Washington and UCLA, the real offenses in our conference.
Yeah,
that's all I said.
I've been in full agreement with you, Tim, the entire time, saying those numbers are going to change because when we start playing these offenses, when we started the season, all we said is if we could be in the top 35 defense, that'd be a hell of an improvement. So this number we're going to drop down a little bit. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
it is a good baseline though to start off of. It is a good baseline, but
I think they're going to drop down because there's a data point of Texas Tech playing up 30. There is a data point of them not being dominant in every game and actually giving up 30 points to Texas Tech. So, yeah.
Oh my God.
So Spaz, we're just trying to help you slow you down for when that top 5 defense isn't really the top 5 anymore, which is pretty much unfair for any defense, even the better defenses in the Pac-12. Because let's face it, probably 3 to 4 of the best, probably 3 to 4 of the top 20, definitely 2 to 3 of the top 10 offenses in the country reside in the Pac-12. So your numbers, no matter how good your defense is, these offenses are going to eat. And that's how it's going to happen. So to recap again, much improvement, definitely a great defense, probably not top 25 statistically at the end of the year. And definitely not top 5. Baz, that's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, unless we shock everybody and the defense just keeps improving. But I mean, you're gonna hit some bumps facing Washington, USC, and Oregon State. But
And don't sleep on UCLA as well.
no, we don't have UCLA this
Oh,
year.
you don't have UCLA. That's right. My bad.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, that-
happy we don't actually this year with that defense.
After they ran 97 plays yesterday, yeah, I'm happy we don't play them neither.
By the way, thank you, Erica. Erica's always here, great contributor. Like she says, please hit that like and subscribe, folks, and go Hawks, Niners, and Lions. Oh my,
Hashtag tight end you.
the trio
Yeah,
right there.
I agree with Lions.
Hashtag I want to talk about tonight.
Erica's great. Thank you, Erica, very much.
Someone's a Cowboys fan.
Jackson, what do you play next week?
Oh, we play Arkansas at 11 a.m. on ESPN. Bad days are ahead for Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say for our Arkansas friends.
Poor Pittman. He seems like a really nice guy too.
I think Milrose's getting good, man. I think Milrose is improving pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, and I believe this game will be in Tuscaloosa. So, I mean, that's going to be a big whipping right there.
Does it really matter where this game is going to get played?
Arkansas's bad, yeah.
Yeah. So they could be played in Fayetteville, and I'd still take Alabama 25 points.
Yeah.
Got next week Clemson. I apologize. I didn't put up all these games. Is Clemson on a bye week?
We're on a bye week.
So you're going to be chilling next week.
Clemson's going to be sitting and chilling.
Yeah, much needed. We do have
playing thankful.
Yeah, much needed bye week. Honestly, after yesterday, step back for the offense. Just poor execution on a lot of fronts. Cade was not very sharp at times. They kind of put it together in the second half, ran the ball, finally committed to running the ball, and the execution from the offensive line was better. Still has not been very good the past couple of weeks. But defense continues to be elite. I mean, that just is what it is. Wes Goodwin as a defensive coordinator, I think, has grown a ton. He's not Brent Venables. I think some people are like, I think some in the fan base are like, boy. There are moments where the defense has lapses, but all in all, they've kept you in every single game. And you've had injuries in the back end, and you've still been able to hold up. So, I still think this team has a chance to get a lot better and play up to their ability. But yeah, yesterday was not what I expected. That was kind of disappointing. But even going back to like 2017, 2018, Clemson had a history of playing poorly before a bye week. So hopefully that's just a weird trend and not something that is indicative of what the team is going to be, next week. But we'll see.
Yeah, because that was a struggle yesterday.
Yeah, I saw some of your posts yesterday. I thought you were going to – online you looked like you were ready to pull your hair out. I can only imagine.
Oh, I was. And it's the frustration that you have. I mean, because as much as I want some things to change on this staff and how Dabo does things, you can't do anything about it now. And this team still has, a season to play for. And I think they have a good opportunity. I don't think this team sucks. But, you have an inexperienced quarterback that's going to make freshmen. I mean, he's not a freshman, but he's basically a freshman because of how little you played him last year. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to make some wow moments. You see the talent on display in certain games. The Florida State game, Syracuse game, he played really, really well. And this was just a game where he was kind of pressing, wasn't exactly comfortable, and that just kind of is what it is. But I think this team is still heading in the right direction. I think they have a good opportunity to win a lot of games. I think they can win every game remaining on their schedule, but it's about how which team shows up week to week.
Do you wish you had DJU now this year, or
no, because I don't think the offense really changes much, because one, I think the offensive line has been pretty disappointing. You return 4 or 5 starters, you lose your right guard for the year, and now you have issues there. Don't have a solidified starter at left tackle. I think that the situation would have still been too volatile, and I don't think DJ would have played much better than he did last year. Happy to see he had a really good game yesterday, so I was happy to see him. But no, I don't think having DJ changes much. I think you roll with Cade. I think he's a better fit for this offense, and that's kind of how I feel.
Okay, yeah.
And then we
talked about that earlier in the year, and you said, let me see, 5-6 weeks in and see where. That's why I was like, wanted to see where you were.
I think DJ's in a better spot for him and his skill sets. That's how. I mean, he's always been talented. He had good games at Clemson. Like, it wasn't all bad, but it just from week to week there wasn't consistency, and that just. I think it was better for both parties to split ways. And I don't think there was a way to make it work with everything around DJ that was going on. And that's kind of how it is. But I'm happy for him. And he represented Clemson really well. And he's still he was 22-6 as a starter. So, it wasn't like he was, horrendous.
Exactly.
Speaking of that too, then moving on to that, Michigan. I know you guys have a brutal meeting with the Hoosiers this weekend.
Yeah, man. Look, man, it's going to be tough for about 3 seconds.
Oh, I don't know. Indiana held the vaunted juggernaut Ohio State offense to 23 points. So
yeah, he held that vaunted that Darrell loves his little 1%. Michigan's going to do something. When he's got Ohio State like 20%, they held them to what, 23 points? That's a good point.
Yeah, in real realistic terms, they just fired their coordinator. Tom Allen's probably not going to be there at the end of the year. They're just going to get rolled over.
Well, yeah,
season they fired a coordinator.
Yeah, Indiana just lost their coordinator.
Yeah.
Which side of the ball?
Hey, you hear that? It can be done.
Yeah, look, man. Michigan's going to take their starters out for it's 2.5 quarters into the game for the 7th game in a row. Might be like this past week where we played 74, 75 players we brought on the trip. It's going to be about the same.
Yeah, let's just say it's going to be another game where everybody who says you ain't playing anybody doesn't change their tune.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool, man. They can keep doing that,
No,
We'll just keep looking how we looking.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Hey, you play who's on your schedule. That's all anyone here on this panel can do with the team. The team plays who they have on their schedule. That's just how that's how it goes. That team could have been good 5 years ago when you scheduled them. This is a conference game. Indiana could have been really good last year and just crap this year.
Well, to be clear, the Big Ten schedules conference games.
No. I know that. I said this is a conference, but I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
When you like that, Indiana could have been the 10-win team last year, but this year they're literally going to win one game, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how it works year to year, So you play who you have.
Yeah, we're just looking. We're just looking to see what we can improve on. Granted, it's very nitpicky right now.
Well, we're going to eat some Carmen. We're going to need some Carmen next year on the schedule. So.
Oh yeah, we lose the whole roster this year too, so that's gonna be tough.
We have a kick in the nuts for 2024 schedule.
Yeah, that schedule is crazy. Texas, we got Texas, Oregon, USC, Washington, Ohio State. I don't know. Do we got Penn State too?
I don't think we have Penn State. We have Wisconsin though.
Yeah, that's like an all-star schedule.
Yeah, that's murderer's row right there. So we're gonna try and live it up now.
Next year is going to be fun, but we're a ways off from next year.
Six current top 10 teams on that schedule. Think about that.
I am going to do a shout out to anyone here in the chat, because I know there's still a lot of people here. If you have not gone and seen Mark's Top 25 That Makes Sense, please go check that out, because I know Spaz did not appreciate it for whatever reason. I don't know why. I know he didn't, but I have to shout that out first, because if we look at the AP, Mark his ears are going to start burning. He's going to start coming in here and yelling at me.
Yeah, Mark didn't like my comment on his 25.
Oh, you actually left a comment on the video?
Yes.
Spaz, what are you doing?
He wants the wrath. He wants a wrath of Rogers, is what he wants.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Mark will pull the plug on this.
Great show.
All he commented on me was brilliant.
No, Wrath of Rogers.
What was the
great.
emoji after the brilliant? Was it a middle finger?
Probably.
When Mark does those responding to comments videos, that's what he should name it, Wrath of Rogers. I think that would be, especially if he's like pulling up receipts of people being wrong. Yeah, I think that
he probably does. He probably screenshots every negative or angry comment to a video and just keeps them somewhere.
I just told him I thought Ohio State should be ranked maybe 20th, if that best.
I think they should be ranked 11th.
Yeah, people. Did we talk about Ohio State yet?
Ohio State fans will appreciate my joke, my self-deprecating joke.
Ohio State.
I get the joke, the Notre Dame joke. Yeah, no, I get it. But have we talked about them yet?
That's not a Notre Dame joke.
We did not discuss Ohio State at all.
I'm good with
They
that.
got Purdue on Peacock next Saturday, so I mean that's pretty good, I guess.
Mark knows.
I think Ohio State can still lose 3.
Okay.
I think they can still lose 3 games, bro.
Well, I don't see where. I know I can see 2 of them. I don't see the third.
Wisconsin.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, Wisconsin. I forgot they do have to go to Camp Randall. So.
People don't realize how bad Ohio State's O-line is. Like, it's really being overlooked right now. That O-line is bad.
Their tackles are bad. Their interior is acceptable.
When you can't run, people gotta understand this. They cannot run the ball against teams like Youngstown State. They can't run the ball against Maryland, who had a terrible rushing defense going into that game. They had 60 yards in that game rushing. I mean, it's a serious problem. Like when you start playing teams that are actually physical in the trenches, I don't know how you're gonna win those games.
So, I mean, here's one thing, and I've been talking about the whole season, and it was my joke earlier to some of you guys. When you have a first-time quarterback, right? I don't care if they're not a freshman, but if you ever got a guy who's getting his first snaps as a starting quarterback, Kyle McCord is only most likely going to get better, and it appears like he is actually getting slightly better. Once he gets to you guys, he'll have 11 games under his belt?
10, 11.
So I'm not saying they beat you guys, but the offense you're looking at right now, it would be silly to think that's what Ohio State's going to look like at the end of November.
The run game has nothing to do with Kyle McCord. Them not being able to.
Wait. Listen, passing game and run game go hand in hand. If you have to have the passing game opens up the running game opens up the pass. So if you have issues on your offensive line and you're having trouble running the ball, that's fine. If you could air it out because they have the receivers, and then you have to soften it up.
They're doing that and still can't run the ball though.
Again,
here's the problem. When you can't run the ball, on terrible rushing defenses, when you can't line up and just run the ball, you're getting sub 100 yards against an FCS school, against a Maryland team that everybody's been able to run on. I'm sorry, you can't run the ball.
I get what Tim's saying.
Offense is dynamic, and if you have
it's one-dimensional
quarterback, and the thing is you will be able to open the offense up a little bit more. The playbook will open up to him. He'll get reads better. Defense will have to defend the pass, and that opens up the run. That's my only point.
And
If
also,
I'm torching you for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns and your DBs and secondary can't keep up with my receivers, it don't matter if I can't run the ball. What Tim is trying to say is if you can air raid the ball, you could still
Sure,
win
if he
games.
turns into CJ Stroud by the end
He
of the
doesn't have to be that
year.
good.
Okay, well even CJ Stroud couldn't beat us. So if he has to turn into something close to CJ Stroud for them to do something, that's fine.
The issue was their defense last year, and their defense is a lot better this year. That's also something you're not talking about. Their defense has made a big jump, so there's that as well.
I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see on that.
The Ohio State guys in the chat can confirm this for me, I think, but I believe Travion Henderson was injured for the Maryland game. I'm not positive.
He didn't play. He didn't play.
He's hurt right now, I believe.
I believe he is too. No, I'm on record for saying I didn't think Travion Henderson was their best running back. I thought Dallin Hayden and Chip Trainin were both better, but it looks like whenever Henderson's hurt, that offense really starts to sputter. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. Look,
I think the key thing is McCord's. He's like Tim was saying. This is his first real start. Now he's getting a little more comfortable. He's getting game acclimated. Also, that's going to build confidence. The player you're seeing right now is not going to who you're going to see in 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks from now. He's going to.
Yeah, I get that, but even with CJ Stroud, the problem was never can they pass to beat Michigan. Passing was never the issue. It was the trenches. Can you beat Michigan in the trenches? And they're worse in the trenches this year than they've been. So when we talk about, can he get better by the end of the year? Can he pass the ball better? Yeah, sure, maybe. But that's not their problem. That's not why they've been losing to Michigan.
Well, this isn't a projection for Michigan, Ohio State. That is a long way off. We're just discussing that. But I think he will improve. He hasn't been great, but he's had his moments. So we're going to see. We are going on almost 2 hours. So we're going to end it with this final super chat here, gentlemen, because this will bring up a good little topic for each of you to kind of talk about. I think I know most of your answers, but from Jersey Love, I believe. Thank you very much. The question for the panel is college football fans. We know student sections can go crazy during a game, but did you all see or have a problem with Shador flexing after the game? I don't care if ASU is bad or not. And this is Colorado over ASU from this last from yesterday. Colorado came back to win 27-24 over Arizona State. Just for everyone who doesn't know the details of that one.
I mean, as long as he don't flex in somebody's face, right? But if he's flexing, I've never been up in arms about kids dancing, kids flexing, kids doing even stupid stuff. That's why they're 18 to 24 years old. And if you want to celebrate, let them celebrate.
And trust me, I mean, those of us that have been in a college football student section, the students are saying much worse.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Oh yeah, they are.
So then they don't get penalized. A flex, a little, showboat. At the end of the game is fine, especially when you hear FU chants and stuff like that all throughout the game. So I'm not saying I don't know if that's what Arizona State student section was doing, but I'm sure they heard some heckling for sure. So I don't really care if they do that. I don't see the problem as long as it doesn't get physical and you start putting hands, and that's when it gets out of hand. But yeah, that's just the nature of the sport.
True.
I didn't hear about it. I mean, but also this game didn't really interest me because this is probably two of the bottom 3 teams in the pack, I'm guessing. So just didn't really.
That's a game.
I mean, I heard it got close. It was 27.
Colorado had to win it at the field goal at the buzzer, 42 yards.
I just, this is not a kind of game that this would be like, Virginia Tech playing each other. It's like, that's great. So I didn't hear about it. I don't know exactly what happened, but, you're going to have to figure, look who his dad is. Plus, he's getting all sorts of smoke. I mean, apparently Tom Brady is in his inner circle of friends now. So, The kid's going to get a little bit of a swelled head. You just have to deal with it.
Oh yeah, and To is Terrell Owens, Mr. Stand on the 50-yard line and put my mark in the middle of your field is also in that group. So yeah, he's got some swelled heads absolutely in his circle for sure.
And I didn't personally see this, but I mean, you have to have an ego playing college football, especially being a quarterback. And then, like you said, being Sanders' son, I didn't see this. So as long as it wasn't egregious because they came back to win. But yeah, as long as they weren't like flexing on someone's face or something like that.
No, he came up like this to the student section and pointed to his watch at the end of the game. That's all he did. From the field, he was like, right here.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want anybody flexing on your home field, don't put yourself in that position. That's all you got.
No kidding.
Yep.
Well, we appreciate it, Jersey Love. I always love all your super chats. And
I mean, I don't want anybody flexing on my home field, so I'm making sure I'm playing some good offense and defense and good special teams. That's just
There you go.
Well, gentlemen, is there any other specific topic or specific thing you would like to cover really quickly?
No, Austin left. I wanted to bring him in and talk about his 6-0 Cardinals, but he's out. So
yeah, he dropped off all of a sudden. I saw that.
I did want to bring up one thing at the end for the panel. The number 20 overall recruit in the nation for next year's commit, Elijah Rushing, 5-star defensive back, committed to Arizona tonight after Tosh Lapoli was down there last Friday night. He decommitted from Arizona this evening.
Wow.
The number 20 overall recruit in the entire nation.
yeah, that guy was all Oregon as well. Wasn't that a surprise when he went to Arizona? So usually he tried to stay home. They probably some pressure on him. And if it's hard to go to Autzen, then he's probably on his way to Autzen, man.
That's
they threw that bag at him.
I mean,
think Arizona
Mike grew up watching Oregon kick ass. So that's the Washingtons and the USCs and the UCLAs have to change that perception. But these kids grew up with those god awful uniforms in their faces, and if you ask these kids who they want to play for, they want to play for the Ducks. It's just gotta be changed on the field. Washington has an opportunity next weekend. USC's gonna have a chance going up to Autzen. You just have to change that perception because these kids, that they don't care about how good, who your dad's favorite team was or whatever. They're looking at who's winning. And when they were in high school, certain programs are winning and certain programs weren't. That's life. In Arizona, wow, talk about not winning. They weren't doing too well at all. So that's got to be hit to the program.
Yeah.
And that was a huge get for Fish. I think everyone was kind of surprised. They weren't totally shocked, but that was a huge get for Fish. So to see that sucks for them.
Really quick spin off of that is people don't realize, but the state of Arizona has been a hotbed for quarterbacks, defensive ends, and running backs for a while now. The demographics in LA and other parts of the country, they're moving to Arizona. And so you're going to see that continue.
Down there, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, gentlemen?
Nope.
I like that answer. Mike was just a nope.
Nope.
I like that. That's a great answer. Well, everyone here on this panel, as we hit the 2-hour mark, basically, we did the promos at the beginning. So please, everyone here, I will make it simple to say, just go to the beginning of the video here, and you're going to hear all the introduction to everyone here. Where you can find them everywhere online and follow them, as most of us do a bunch of different shows every week. So please go check us out. Go back to the beginning. Once again, to the chat and everyone who super chat, especially, thank you very much. But everyone in the chat, with your comments and your questions, we appreciate that. Helps us keep going. And that's it for me. So I guess until next week, right here on Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern for the After Dark show. we will see you next week. And gentlemen, thank you very, very much again, as always.
Go Blue.
And I want my
Go Blue.
cheeseburger.
They get a triple.